Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Soul Stories with Kate Mazeras. Today's video is going to talk about the Aquarius soul story. So, if you have a sun in Aquarius, a moon, a rising sign, or other major personal planets in Aquarius, this video is for you. The Aquarian sign is the shortest one in the zodiac. It's from January 21st through February 18th. So, Aquarian energy I find is very unique. In the zodiacal wheel, the most plentiful sign, the most people are born in the sign of Scorpio. And then the second most plentiful are Virgo. I think they're only off by like 2 points of 1%. But the least amount are Aquarius. And I think not only because this is the shortest sign of the zodiac, but also because they're extremely unique. I've become very close with Aquarians over the past, I'd say 10 to 15 years, and I find them fascinating. So I'll talk a little bit more about that today as we delve deeper into their soul story. The main key for the Aquarius is I seek myself through humanity. And there's a little caveat to that, which I will talk about in just a moment. But as we look at the lower right-hand corner, we see the glyph or the symbol of Aquarius are two waves on top of each other. So the Aquarius is called the water bearer. That can be confusing because Aquarius is an air sign. But back when ancient astrology and the zodiacal wheel was first discovered and put into a scientific kind of format, they didn't have electricity. And I think, modern astrologers will say that Aquarians are not only the water bearer, but they're the light bringer. So let's take a look at the soul story of Aquarius. So Aquarius is called the light, let me move this out of the way, the light bearer or the water bearer. This is a fixed air sign. It's a sign right in the middle of winter time. And it is a masculine sign. Remember, all air and fire signs are masculine. In ancient astrology, Aquarius is ruled by Saturn. In modern astrology, we add Uranus as well. So the glyph, that symbol that we looked at in the first slide, it represents waves rippling over water because wind or air causes movement. It can also mean the two serpents of wisdom. The top one is intuition, and the bottom one is rational thinking. Aquarius is symbolized by the water bearer because this is the movement towards spring. There's hopeful anticipation. I remember someone told me once, like around February 4th, every single day after February 4th, you can markedly see the light coming back. And so that's another symbolic representation of Aquarius, is that during the sign of Aquarius, darkness is dominant, but the light is coming back quickly. So this energy seeks to transform culture or community through participation in groups. They literally bring physical light to the planet, but they also bring harmonic light, or like you shed light on something new. Aquarians can be very innovative, and they like to marshal their intellectual efforts to improve society. Aquarians and their light can be driven by altruism that seek tolerance and integration, but the shadow can be manipulative, contrary, unpredictable, and detached. And that's why you see the picture of the puppet master on the left-hand side here. When Aquarians are in their shadow, they know how to use their intellect to mess around with people because they can read people very well, and they know how to innovatively circumvent them or manipulate them. Aquarius seeks to bring in the new and the inventive. And so the archetypes are the revolutionary, the whistleblower, the inventor, the visionary, or the rebel. But the shadow, again, like I said, is the puppet master. So the Aquarian soul journey is to bring new ideas and inventions to humanity to serve the evolution of the self and others. Capricorn, the sign before this one, wanted to create stability, and from stability, you can have evolution. Abraham Lincoln was an Aquarian sun sign, and I love this quote. He has the right to criticize who has the heart to help. And so you can see those two parts of the Aquarian symbol here. the rational and the intuitive. Sometimes people who are Aquarians can struggle with this a little bit. I have some friends who are Aquarians, and they're not always sure when to criticize constructively, and that can be a challenge. Aquarius needs to engage the world through different potentials, so they can get easily bored and want to change different tacks, which can be good because it makes them, even though they're fixed air, it can make them continue to seek for what's going to work best in the moment. Aquarians are under contract to understand evolution as a force. They ask, how do systems work and dissolve? How do people evolve? And Pluto entered Aquarius recently within the past year, and it's going to stay there for a while. And so we are going to see collectively on the planet systems dissolving, but through that dissolving, there is going to be evolution. Aquarians can be a little elitist because they'll think, well, my vision is greater than yours, so therefore I'm of higher value because I know more. I see more. So I'm of higher value than you. And sometimes they have to check that wounded ego. And again, the next bullet says they are a child of the wounded ego because Aquarius does understand things on a higher level, but that does not always express themselves as a humanitarian. So I don't have anything in Aquarius, but I look at which house in my chart is ruled by Aquarius, and the cusp of two houses is ruled by this sign. And so I look at those houses to think, in this area of my life, do I have this energy of, I really, really value humanity, but I don't necessarily like being around people and their individual issues. And that's true for all of us. We all have an area in our life where we can say, I see the humanity, I can see the needs in this, but I'm not comfortable getting into the nitty-gritty of the individual dramas. Aquarians who have like Aquarian sun, Aquarian rising, Aquarian moon can do this. They can be flexible in between both of them. Because in their heart, Aquarians are meant to be a lighthouse for others, a safe shore for change. And I find this interesting. I was just talking to a family that I'm very close with last evening, and we were talking about a yoga class that I taught many years ago, where my friend's son was in first grade. He's now in college, but when he was in first grade, I was teaching this yoga class where we were talking about, I was trying to get the kids to understand how to listen to the wisdom of their bodies, because their bodies would know how they need to move rather than what I'm teaching or saying or doing. So I asked the kids, what is the difference between knowing things and being wise? And my friend's son, who is an Aquarius, said, knowing things is just knowing facts, but being wise is knowing how to use it. And that is absolutely an Aquarian trait. And at 6 years old, this boy knew that already. Because I think he had empathy for others' paths. I've seen that in him since he was a little boy. But he can also bring new ideas to people's lives in a way that they need it, which I just love that about Aquarians. Aquarians can often identify with the orphan archetype because they sometimes feel alone in their awareness. They can feel not ostracized, but just like people don't understand them because they can be so quirky or intuitive mentally and intellectually. So they get this really deep experience of being on the earth, but not of it. A lot of times Aquarians will say to me, like, I just don't feel like I belong here, like I'm of an other world mindset. And that's interesting, but they're meant to be here in that way because our world is evolving. We are meant to evolve as humanity. And I think the problem that we have in this world right now is that the further we get away from the awareness that we are all human, the more likely we are to harm others, either by saying hateful things, doing hateful things, excluding people, waging war on people in different ways, silent treatment or verbally fighting or even physically fighting, because we don't understand that we are all human beings. So this Aquarian energy that we're experiencing now from now, January 21st until February, gives you the opportunity to look at the parts of your chart that are ruled by Aquarius and to see where can I bring soulful humanity to serve my evolution and the evolution of others. Aquarius is a wonderful sign. I think it can be one of the most misunderstood, like Scorpio, but it's one that I'm really curious about. I get more curious about it all the time. So I'm constantly learning more about how this energy affects myself and the world around me. So if you're interested in having a reading with me, I'll put a link to my website in the description below. If you're an Aquarius, I'm so glad you were born. Birthday blessings to you. And I'll see you at our next Soul Stories video when we look at the Pisces soul story. Have a great day, everybody.